Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm a child psychiatrist, parent coach, and I'm also a mum. And this video is all about how small differences can make a really big change because it's something that I get asked about a lot by parents when I'm talking about the sort of parent coaching or the different things that we can do. They go, well, is that really going to make such a big difference, making these small adjustments? What's that going to do? And my child is experiencing this kind of difficulty when their behavior is really challenging, when they're doing risky things, when they're really low, when they're really worried. Is it really going to make a big difference that I do these things that, feel quite small and insignificant? Is that really going to make a difference to them? And I say absolutely. It absolutely can. And there is a key component to that, which I'll talk about in a second. But where I get this kind of question from is often from parents who join my community group on Facebook, or if they do come individually to me as clients. And I even get this when I have parents in clinical practice, because obviously often their children are diagnosed with mental health difficulty, and I think they feel particularly sort of unsure whether making changes to what they do is really going to make a huge difference. And the kind of things they ask about is things like aggression and anger, is there anything I can really do to stop that and change that? Managing, emotions, things like worries or low mood, what I do, does that really make a difference? Often I think parents feel like it really doesn't, like no matter what they do, the child's emotion doesn't really seem to shift. And also things like managing relationships, whether that's friendships or relationships with siblings or maybe even the relationship with you. Sometimes you just get into such an awful cycle. It can feel like no matter what you do, it makes absolutely no difference in the relationship. And it's, you just think, well, clearly it's nothing, it's not me, it's not anything that I can kind of do anything about. And sometimes about the helping, recover from mental health difficulties. And again, parents can feel like, well, isn't that just something they have to go through? Isn't that about therapy or about medications? That, those are the kind of key things. And I would say that actually, as a parent, there is so much you can do. And the one big thing that parents maybe miss when they're thinking about this is about the fact that they're the ones who can be really consistent and can do this over and over again over a period of time. And I think sometimes we do expect changes quite quickly. We make a change in our behaviour and what we do, what we say, and a week or two later, we're sort of saying, well, where's the difference? Like, I'm doing things differently and nothing is changing. Whereas a lot of the time with children, it really does take a little bit of time, usually not as long as it does when you're dealing with adults, but still they need to see that you really are kind of committed. They really need that consistency. It makes such a massive difference to them. And over time, things change. And I think often parents sort of think, oh, well, I'm just going to give up now because it doesn't seem like what I'm doing is right. It's not making any difference. So, what's the point of doing it? It's obviously something I just kind of can't manage. Whereas actually, sometimes we just don't go for long enough, and maybe we're just not as consistent long enough because it's actually really hard to be consistent. It's hard to stick to something when you're not getting a lot of feedback back, when you're not getting kind of instant results, when you're not getting any positive feedback from that. It's hard to be sure that you are on the right track. Really, really difficult. And I think it's a really tough thing for parents to do. Some parents can do it because they're kind of so determined in their mind, but I think for a lot of us, we'll just sort of start to question ourselves and think, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I just need to stop. Maybe I'm totally barking up the wrong tree. Maybe it's just not something I can really help with. But actually, as a parent, you're in a prime position to help your kids rebalance the things that have gone wrong in their life, the things that are making them experience the feelings they're experiencing or are making them behave in a way that isn't kind of usual for them. You're in a prime position to A, notice what those things are, and B, actually help your child see what they are, do something about them, and help them feel safe while they're doing that. Help them feel like you've got their back, like you're there for them, but that there's still things that they need, there's still boundaries they need to stick to, and that there is a framework around them. I think it really is something that you can do best, better than a therapist, better than anyone else, because you're the one who's with them every day. But it can be really hard work, especially when you're right in the middle of it, to kind of keep faith and keep going and to feel like this is going to work eventually and to not constantly question yourself. It is hard, and I think depending on how severe the challenges are that you're experiencing, it can be a while before you really see a big result from what you're doing. It might be that you see some small changes first, but it can just feel like you're putting so much effort in and you're just not getting quite as much back. And it's a lonely process. Often it's tough to talk to other people about what you're experiencing. You're worried people are going to question how you parent. It feels like other parents, have got it all sorted. Other people aren't experiencing the difficulties you're experiencing. You start to wonder, is it just me? Is it something that I've done? It's really lonely and hard to get other people on board with this, and sometimes relatives can be helpful, but other times they can be really quite judgmental or offer a lot of their own opinion, which you may or may not agree with. So I think that is another aspect of it that just makes it that little bit harder. And if your child is in some kind of services, like perhaps they're seeing someone in CAMS, as a parent you can end up feeling quite disenfranchised, like they're getting the support they need and actually there's nothing left for you to do. You just have to plod on, and what the changes you make aren't going to be the things that are going to make a difference. It's all going to be happening in the therapy sessions. And I guess I truly believe that if you have the right support, you can get through this time in a really positive way while helping your child. Even with very unwell adolescents, we do this work with parents where we support them to change some of what they do to kind of support their adolescents in a slightly different way. And it really can be such a big difference for teens, for children, when their parents stick at it, when they, do evaluate what's going on, they try different things, and when they are consistent with what they're doing. And because sometimes that is so hard to do on your own, I think sometimes it is really important to get the right support so that it enables you to do what you need to do at that time. And it's hard to always know exactly what support you need. Please do check out the last video in the series where I go through the different kinds of professionals that are involved, whether it is a medic like a psychiatrist, whether it's a kind of therapist, whether actually you do decide to choose some coaching, because coaching is very much about managing specific challenges and kind of forward facing and supporting you in a flexible way. And if that's something you're interested in, please do get in touch so we can have a bit of a chat and see if that's something that you would like to do.